Okay. Welcome everybody. As I heard, it was a good evening yesterday. I hope you are all still ready for a tough subject like pensions. Still, pensions is really important. Young people usually were not really interested in pensions, but slowly, as pensions are getting less reliable, it looks like interest is rising, and it's also more an issue for researchers around the world. And a few years ago, there was a questionnaire among the researchers in Europe, and people were asking what is the issue, one of the issues you want to have solved when you're a researcher in Europe, and it was pensions. So this is a presentation about the European Researchers Pension Fund, Resaver, and I will tell some things about it. First, I will introduce myself. I'm Johan Huysse. I'm from the VSNU, that's the Associate University Associates of the Netherlands. We are one of the members of the consortium who actually did fund the pension fund. The slides are having a lot of information. I will pick out some of the information because it's going to be a long story otherwise. There are information packs about Resaver available. I'm not sure if they are already outside laying, but if they're not, I'll make sure they will be there afterwards. And if you have a question in the meantime, just say it, and my apologies when it's going to be a little technical, but well, it's a tough subject. I will tell something about what's a cross-border pension, then something about consortium, about pension fund, for who the pension fund is pointed at, or supposed to be, why you should join the pension fund, and how to join the pension fund. Have a look. Yes. So, what's the real advantage of this pension fund? It is one pension fund, and this enables researchers, when they join the pension fund and they are going from one job to another one in Europe, they can stay at the same pension fund. And that's the real advantage. They don't have to worry about where the pension is, what pension will do, because it's at one place, and they are able to stay at pension fund when they continue working. Of course, that's only possible when it is when the employer is also a member of the pension fund. I will talk about it later. So it's like it says here, it's a dynamic state-of-the-art pan-European retirement savings solution, and it enables the researchers to retain the same pension arrangement when they move from country to country. And as a result, organizations, employers who are part of the pension fund can attract the best researchers. That's the thought about the whole thing. What does it look like? This is not, yes, that's a lot of arrows, a lot of colors, and when you look at the left, that's the pension fund, and that's based in Belgium. And on the right side you have the employer. and the researcher who is working for the employer. So the pension fund stays at its place, and on the right side, when you move to another employer, it just replaces that part, and you keep on putting your benefits into the pension fund. There is a quite complicated thing behind it, because if we look at European rules, it is you are obliged to put your money in a pension fund and take it out according to the rules of social and labor law of that country. So in fact, when, for instance, country A would be the Netherlands and country B would be Belgium, you put in the money according to the labor law of the Netherlands when you work in the Netherlands, and when you move to Belgium according to the rules of Belgium. And then later on, when you retire, you get all parts separately with the separate rules of the country. So that's the complicated part. The good part is it's only one pension fund, and when you enlist and when you are a researcher, you have just one place to look and just one set of no, not one set. You've got one pot of money, and only the thing getting out is might be different because of the labor law of the different countries, but you get from one place your money. It's very complicated. Later on I will tell how this was resolved for the researcher, because it should be easy for the researcher, because that's the purpose. So the first thing, and the thing that started this whole thing was the consortium of employers. The consortium of employers is the group of employers who designed the pension plan design, and they are there to promote Resaver. I'm one of the, I'm part of the consortium, and look, I'm presenting here the consortium. So this is one of the promotion things we do, but it's also necessary, because a pension fund itself is not able to promote itself, because that's against all European rules. So they are just there to get the money in and try to get benefits out of it. So if there is one group of people who can promote Resaver, it is the consortium. We are asked so by the Commission to do this because I didn't think I mentioned before, but this whole project has a heavy funding from the Commission, and this not only helps to install the pension fund, but also to keep it going the first years when there are not enough people already putting money in the pension fund, because you need a critical mass to get it rolling. When we get on, these are the 7 founding members of the consortium. And when we look at the first one, Central European University of Budapest, that's the one who is already part of the pension fund already. Because this was the consortium. This was established 1st of October 2014. And this last July, the pension fund itself was established. And we have one organization now already putting money in the pension fund. So when we go back 5 years, this was still a very modern idea, and it looked like it was very, very difficult to make it happen, because there's a lot of rules you have to cope with, a lot of other practicalities. But still, within those 5 years, we managed to start a consortium and to establish the pension fund and to have our first contributor to the pension fund. So what's the pension fund itself? It's multi-country, multi-employer. That's the good thing, because that's how it is possible. You stay at the pension fund when you go from one employer to another one. And it's based in Belgium, and that's done because Belgium is one of the countries with a law system that makes it possible to establish a pan-European pension fund. The second thing is, that's also important because it is Europe-wide, it is difficult to put all different kind of pension systems in there. So we had to choose for defined contribution system. So the other system is defined benefit. The older pensions systems do have the defined benefit. It looks like the information packs are arriving. First one is shown there. Should be around 50, I think. So the defined contribution system doesn't guarantee you a percentage of your wage at the end, because that would be impossible when you've moved from one country to another, and to another, and to another, and then get the money. This would be, well, impossible. So it's defined contribution, which means you pay a percentage, and this money will grow slowly and give you, when you retire, your money back. And that's another thing. Also, retirement age can be different from can be different from one country to another. So this is really quite difficult to put it all in one pension system. And when you go to the last one, we already have the providers to make this happen, otherwise we wouldn't be running. An online tool, My Resaver, has been made, and that's the panel that a researcher sees when he wants to look what his money is doing. And this will be the same thing even when he moves from one country to another. This will stay the same. This online tool will have the same information, and that's the big advantage. For the researcher, things don't really change. And of course, let's say that's the fifth bullet, how bigger this pension fund gets, how more efficient things will be because of the economies of scale, and that will increase the benefit. So this is something that gets better and better when it grows. Okay, who can participate? Now, before I continue, when you have questions, you'll ask them, because this is a tough presentation, so some interaction can't, yeah, that helps.
The microphone is coming.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. I have a quick question. The Resaver pension fund is the first pillar or the second or the third pillar?
Very, very good question, but it's also concerning how much people know it. It's a second pillar.
So it's an addition. So it represents an additional cost for the researcher and university over and above the pension that people are entitled to by virtue of payment of social security contributions.
Yes, and it depends on the country if this is really extra or if it's usual to do. And in some countries there's no second pillar at all. But this is the second pillar. It's an occupational pension. There's also a third pillar attached for people who are not an employer but still are connected with a university or a research institute and they want to contribute. And this also reflects the problems there are in countries, because in some countries the first pillar is that big that there is no second pillar left. Still, a lot of countries that are now participating in the consortium are trying to solve those problems with their government, like we are in Holland. We have a problem because our second pillar pension system for universities isn't very flexible, so we have to find a solution. But this is happening in a lot of countries, and it's not something to distract you, to say we won't try. But of course, problems have to be solved. Yeah. And so another question?
Hi, I'm Vivian from the University of Copenhagen. How many employers are right now paying into Resaver? That's my first question. And the next question is taxation. How will the pension be taxed according to which country's rules?
Yeah. The first question, as I said, in July the pension fund started, but then things still had to be solved, and at the end of last year we got permission to start in Italy and Hungary, because every country has to approve also, apart from the setting up of the pension fund. And from Hungary we have it's 1 or 3 employers, just the way you look, because they are connected with each other. So this is the first that started. Then your second question, that's a tough one, taxation. For instance, when you've put in money from 3 different countries and you retire, at your retirement age, those 3 different pots are considered differently, and you get the money out of those 3 according to the taxation rules of the countries where you put the money in. So that can be different, and to make a simple example, most countries you don't pay tax when you put the money in, and you put the tax when you get the money out. But there are countries do the other way around. So when this would not be the case, it would be very easy to move to a country at your retirement age where you don't pay tax and put money in countries where you don't pay tax and you never pay tax. So that's not possible. So the technicalities are that it is quite difficult to see exactly what happens with the money, but because of the tool, you just get a good overview and you see how much the benefit will be of the money you put in. Yeah? Any other questions before I continue? Have I got
5 more minutes?
5 more minutes? Yes, fine.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Catherine from NTNU, Norway. Most country has restriction on entering with the process that you've had done now in Hungary and in Italy have to happen in most countries?
No, to get approval in the country, that's easy, because when there is approval in Belgium to put on the pension system, it's very difficult for the other countries to disagree. But the thing is, it's mostly rules like, and that's especially for public institutes, they are, there's a lot of rules within the country that they have to put a pension to a certain place. Yeah. So that's the thing that has to be solved by the country itself, by the employer or the association who wants to join. We have Norwegian.
I know.
Also
yeah.
Copenhagen.
You have the same problem.
Yeah. So, try to finish this. So, who can participate? This is meant for researchers, but because it's quite difficult to restrict this to researchers only, we decided that the Resaver pension fund is for research institutes, and that's for the researchers in there, but also when the institute decides that way, the supporting staff. And important, this is not only for European researchers, but it's for researchers working in Europe. So also Chinese, India, so that's who can participate. So that's, yeah, this is slowly coming. Should be something else, yes. So again, it's a clear pension solution for Europe. It's pan-European, multiple countries, tax neutral in each country, and it allows flexible contribution level in each country, because the employers can decide what will happen. So that's why to join. For the employees, again, the main advantage is when they go from one to another employer, they can leave their pension at one place. And very important, the web-based member portal that's here. So that's very important. They have their choices in their own hands, and it's web-based and it's all in English, and it will be explained in the same way everywhere. So for employers, why should they join? Well, that's obvious. They can be an attractive employer, and in this way they can attract the most, the best researchers and retain them. I'll skip this one. Because how should you join? That's in two steps. First, the employer has to join the consortium. And that's important because an employee, a researcher, can't join the pension fund before the employer joins the pension fund. So the first step is the employer joins the consortium, becomes part of the consortium, and then, that's the second one, the employer, they can join the pension fund itself. And from that moment on, employees can put their money in the pension fund. And in between, you have to solve a lot of things, maybe national issues. You have to talk with the trade unions when that's necessary. You have to close the plan that's there now, or you have to make some kind of decision that part of your institution will stay at the pension fund where you are, and another part will join Resaver. So that's the things you have to do, and that's a long process. So when an employer is interested to join, they should start joining the consortium, and then there's time enough also talking to other members of the consortium to try to solve the things they have to solve. So joining the consortium doesn't mean you become a member of the pension fund itself. Okay, for more information, we have a website running, resaver.eu. You will find a lot of things there. When you enter the website, it will ask if you're an employer or an employee, and it will bring you to the right place. Apart from that, we have the information packs lying there. and I'm available afterwards to have a small talk or anything if you want to know more. There's still time for questions now, or time?
No, ask them straight away.